Hello boys and girls, Mrs. McPherson here. Today we're going to look at how to divide whole numbers by fractions. Okay, so remember when we divide, our problems need to stay set up the same way that they're written, just like if we were subtracting. Division does not have the property where you can flip-flop how you write the division problem. You need to keep it the same way. So that's why today we're specifically looking at whole numbers divided by fractions. Okay, so let's look at an example of what I mean by this. So let's say we have 3 divided by 1/7. So we have a whole number divided by a fraction. Okay, so how we go about dividing by fractions is we're going to remember these steps. We have keep, change, and flip. Okay, so step 1, we keep. Then we change, then we flip. And I'll show you what we mean by that. And I'll do that down here with some arrows. So for our first step, we keep. So this first term here, our 3, in this first position, we keep that number the same. So we're just going to rewrite 3 as 3. Our change applies to our symbol here. When we divide by fractions, we have to do something special to the symbol. We actually change it to a multiplication symbol. Then we're going to flip. And by flip, we're going to flip the fraction. What I mean by that is you're going to switch the denominator and the numerator. So if I were to do that, you would then get 7/1, right? I flipped it. My 1 is now my denominator, my 7 is now my numerator. And as you know from last unit, 7/1 is the same thing as having the whole number 7. Okay? So our new problem, after we keep, change, and flip, we get 3 times 7, which is 21. So 3 divided by 1/7 equals 21. Okay, let's look at another example. Okay. In this next example, we have 9 divided by 1/4. Okay, so let's use our keep, change, flip in order to help us solve this problem. So first, we keep the 9, then we change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol, and then we flip the fraction. And if I flip 1/4, I get 4/1, which is the same thing as just a whole number 4. So 9 divided by 1/4 turns out being the same thing as 9 times 4. 9 times 4 equals 36. Okay, let's look at another example. You may have noticed in these problems we're doing today, we're just looking at fractions that have a numerator of 1. Those fractions are called unit fractions. Things are going to change when our numerator becomes a different number. But we'll get to that in another video. Okay, so let's see if we can do this one together. Keep, change, flip. So we keep our 12. We change our symbol. And we flip our fraction. What would 1/2 look like flipped? It's going to look like 2/1. And 2/1, as we know, would be the same thing as just 2 wholes. So 12 divided by 1/2 is the same thing as doing 12 times 2, and you get 24. All right. We're going to do one more example, but notice how in every one of these problems, my whole number is my first number. That's the number I'm going to keep. You always change your division symbol, and you always flip the fraction. Okay? These same rules are going to apply as we go further into dividing fractions, so I thought this was a good skill to start with today. Okay, so let's keep our 7, change our symbol, flip our fraction. And when we flip 1/5, we get 5/1, which turns out being just 5. So we have 7 divided by 1/5 is the same as doing 7 times 5, and you will get 35. Right, so for today's practice, you're just going to do problems like this, where we have a whole number divided by a unit fraction. Remember, a unit fraction is when you have a 1 in the numerator, okay? Things may start changing once we see different types of fractions we're going to divide by, but I thought this was a good skill to practice to do the keep, change, flip, and get used to that process as we move forward, okay? So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.